It was my birthday. But the only person who forgot was the one who planned it. They said it was for me. She made the reservations, told me to dress up, even smiled and said she had a surprise waiting. And I believed her. I thought, maybe just this once, I'd be seen. But what she really gave me was a front row seat to her own celebration. I sat at the far end of the table, next to people I didn't know, watched her soak in compliments, laughed with her friends, toasted to her upcoming promotion. No cake, no candles, not even a happy birthday. I sat there for 2 hours, invisible at my own party. So I stood up, paid for my meal, and walked away. No yelling, no scene, just silence, cold and clean. Because sometimes the loudest thing you can do is leave. I've never really made a big deal out of birthdays. Growing up, they were always kind of low-key. A few texts from friends, maybe dinner with my parents when they were in town. I wasn't the kind of guy who needed attention or balloons or speeches, but this year felt different. Not because I was turning any milestone age or because I suddenly wanted a cake with my name on it. No, it was because, for the first time, I had someone in my life who said she wanted to make me feel celebrated. My girlfriend. She was vibrant, outgoing, and always had a flair for planning things. She knew I wasn't flashy, and I trusted that. So, when she offered to organize a dinner for my birthday, nothing huge, just something thoughtful, I said yes. She even made a reservation at this restaurant I'd casually mentioned months ago. One of those nice places I kept saying I'd try someday. It felt good, honestly. Like maybe this year I'd finally feel a little seen. I was really looking forward to it. Not in a fireworks and cameras kind of way, but in that quiet, deep down way where you just want to feel like someone thought of you. Like your presence mattered, even just for one night. She told me she had a small surprise planned. I smiled. I wasn't expecting much. Maybe a dessert with a candle or a card. Something simple. Something real. I didn't ask questions. I trusted her. We'd been together long enough for me to think, she gets me by now. But even as I got dressed that night, there was a flicker of anxiety I couldn't quite place. The kind that sits in your chest, not loud, just there, like a warning. Still, I pushed it aside. I told myself I was overthinking. She wanted this to be special, and I wanted to let her. We got to the restaurant. She looked beautiful. She seemed excited. She told me we had a few extra people joining, just to liven things up a bit. I nodded slowly. Then she said it was some of her friends from work, plus a couple from college. 6, to be exact. I didn't really know any of them. One of them I actually disliked a lot. She'd made things weird when we first started dating by constantly flirting with me. My girlfriend had brushed it off at the time, calling it harmless. I didn't say anything that night. I tried to go with the flow. I told myself, it's just dinner, let it be. But deep down, something already felt off. When we got to the table, she sat at the opposite end from me, next to her friends. I was placed between two people I had never met. I laughed politely at their small talk, sipped my drink, looked down the table and saw her laughing, shining, glowing under the lights. And for a brief moment, I felt like a guest at someone else's party. It was my birthday, but I already felt like I didn't belong. At first, I kept telling myself it wasn't a big deal. So what if I didn't know the people sitting beside me? So what if the only person I came to spend time with was on the other end of the table, caught in an echo chamber of inside jokes and stories I wasn't part of? I kept sipping my drink, hoping the food would come quickly and that maybe, once everyone settled in, we'd shift back toward what this dinner was supposed to be. Maybe someone would clink a glass and say, "Happy birthday, man." Maybe she had something planned, a toast, a cake, something, anything, but no. Instead, I listened as her friends raised their glasses, not to me, but to her name, for pulling this together. To your upcoming promotion, girl, you're killing it. She deserves this night, all the happiness in the world. That one stuck with me. She deserves this night. I smiled weakly, nodded, tried to seem engaged, but inside, I felt myself shrinking, folding inward. Like I had suddenly become invisible at a dinner that was supposed to celebrate me. She laughed loudly at something across the table, one of her friends cracking a joke. She didn't look at me. She didn't see me. And the worst part, I started wondering if I was being dramatic. I started gaslighting myself, thinking maybe this is normal. Maybe I should be grateful she planned anything at all. Maybe I'm just not good at parties. Maybe I should have made my own plans if it mattered that much. But no, that wasn't the truth. The truth was my birthday had been hijacked, not by accident, not out of cluelessness, but by design. Because the longer the night dragged on, the clearer it became. This wasn't about me. It was never about me. It was about her. She wanted an audience. She wanted to be praised for planning something. She wanted to showcase her social circle, her success, her image. I was just there, a backdrop, a reason to throw the dinner in the first place. At one point, the girl sitting beside me leaned over and said, "You're so lucky to have her. She really went all out." I smiled. I didn't say what I was thinking. I didn't ask for all this. I didn't want any of this. I just wanted one night where it wasn't about her. I kept checking the time on my phone, wondering how long I had to stay before I could leave without making it weird. 2 hours. Was that enough? Then came the moment that solidified everything. Her best friend stood up, clinked a fork against a wine glass, and gave a little speech. About how amazing my girlfriend is, how selfless she is, how hardworking, how she always puts others first. Everyone applauded. I sat there, silent. There was no mention of me. No, "Thank you for being born." No, "Here's to my name." No cake, no candles, no song. Not even a damn cheers in my direction. It was my birthday, but I was just scenery. And I felt something in me quietly snap. Not in a dramatic, explosive way. No yelling, no flipping tables. Just this deep, painful clarity. I don't belong here. Not like this. Not with someone who makes me feel so alone in a room full of people. So I waited until the server dropped the check. Before anyone could argue, I stood up, pulled out my wallet, and handed her my card. "Just my portion, please," I said. I didn't look at anyone else. I didn't owe them eye contact. When my girlfriend asked where I was going, I said, "I'm not feeling well." That was it. I walked out. No goodbye, no scene. Just the soft sound of the restaurant door closing behind me. And outside, in the cool night air, I finally breathed. I didn't go straight home. I walked for a long time. No music, no texts, no calls. Just me and the echo of my own footsteps on pavement that felt colder than it should have. I didn't cry, but I could feel something cracking behind my eyes. That familiar burning pressure of disappointment. Not the sharp sting of betrayal, but the slow ache of being forgotten by someone who promised to remember you. It wasn't the dinner that broke me. It was the silence. The way I kept looking down the table, hoping to catch her eye, waiting for a smile, a wink, a quick check-in like, "Hey, you good?" But nothing ever came. Not one moment where she acknowledged I was the reason this dinner even existed. I may as well have been a stranger who stumbled into a party already in progress. I tried to shake it off as I walked, tried to remind myself that it was just one night, one bad evening. But the truth was, it wasn't just about the birthday. It was about all the other moments that had quietly built to this one. Like the times she'd interrupt me mid-sentence to tell her own story louder. The times I'd invite her to meet my friends and she'd decline because she didn't vibe with them, but still expected me to hang out with hers like it was gospel. The way she could turn any situation into a spotlight for herself. I used to admire how magnetic she was, how people lit up around her. Now I realized I was one of the things she stepped on to shine brighter. When I finally got back to my apartment, my phone had blown up. A dozen texts, a few missed calls, one voice note I didn't even bother playing. The first few messages were all the same flavor. "Where did you go? You're being dramatic. You embarrassed me in front of my friends." Not one said, "Are you okay?" Not one said, "Happy birthday." I stared at the screen, feeling this strange mix of numb and nauseous. Like I was watching someone else's life fall apart and couldn't look away. I typed back one line, "I'm home, don't worry." That was the last message I sent her that night. Instead, I sat in my dark apartment, turned off the lights, and scrolled through our old photos. I didn't know why. Maybe I was trying to remind myself there had been good moments. Maybe I was trying to see if this version of her had always been there, hiding in plain sight. But every photo started to feel like evidence, not memories. Her arms around me at my graduation, captioned with how proud she was to be there. Oxios at the beach last summer, but the photo was a selfie, cropped so that her bikini looked perfect and I was blurry in the background. Dinner on our anniversary, where she posted the dessert with the caption, "Treating myself tonight," and didn't tag me. It hit me all at once. This was never about us. It was about her. And I had been playing a role, one that didn't even have a name in her script. I thought the worst part would be the moment she forgot my birthday. But the worst part was realizing she never really saw me at all. I had been holding out for something she was never capable of giving. Basic empathy, recognition, space at the table, not just physically, but emotionally. I wasn't asking for fireworks, just a seat next to the person I thought loved me. But instead, I was placed between strangers, expected to smile, and later called ungrateful for noticing the absence of love. And in that silence, in the shadows of a dinner that had nothing to do with me, I felt something die. Not loudly, not dramatically, but permanently. The part of me that kept waiting for her to get it. The part of me that made excuses for her selfishness. The part of me that called this love. That part didn't survive that night. It faded in the background hum of a restaurant where everyone raised a glass to her and never once looked my way. The next morning, I didn't wake up with rage in my chest. I didn't feel like burning the world down or exposing her in some dramatic post. I just felt done. A kind of cold, clean clarity settled over me. The kind that doesn't come from impulse or heartbreak, but from finally seeing something for what it is. Or maybe for what it's always been. She still hadn't said happy birthday. I checked, rechecked. Went through every message again like I'd somehow missed it. Some hidden apology buried beneath the guilt trips and accusations. But there was nothing. Not even a performative, hope you had a good night, to pretend like she cared. Instead, more texts had come in that morning. Some from her, some from her friends. You really embarrassed her. She went through so much trouble to make the night special. It wasn't that deep. You could have just stayed. You're being cold. She loves you. But love doesn't look like being erased from your own celebration. Love doesn't look like being told to be grateful for scraps of attention. Love doesn't come wrapped in guilt with a bow of gaslighting. And I think, deep down, she knew exactly what she was doing. She didn't forget my birthday. She just didn't think it mattered as much as her promotion, or her friendships, or her image. She planned a dinner that looked like a gift, but felt like a performance. One where she was the star and I was just the excuse to book the reservation. So I stopped replying. I didn't give her the drama, I didn't defend myself, I didn't argue my worth. I just disappeared. I blocked her number, muted the group chats where her friends had started attacking me, and took the afternoon off work. I sat in a small coffee shop 2 blocks from my place and wrote a list. Not of all the things she did wrong, but of all the ways I had shrunk myself to keep the peace. All the birthdays I had quietly given up on. All the moments I'd chosen silence over conflict. All the times I said, it's fine, when it wasn't. And then, for the first time in years, I did something selfish. I planned a new birthday dinner, nothing huge. Just 5 people. Friends who had texted me that morning with zero agenda except, you okay? People who noticed when I was quiet. Who showed up when things felt off. People who didn't need a spotlight or a toast or a reason to celebrate me other than, we're glad you're here. We met at the same restaurant. Yeah, that same one. I asked for a table in the back this time, somewhere warm, away from the noise. I didn't want the loudest table. I just wanted to laugh without feeling like I had to earn it. I wanted to talk and be heard. I wanted to exist in a space that felt like mine, and it was everything the first dinner wasn't. Simple, kind, real. They brought out a small cake with a candle. Someone must have told the waiter. Everyone sang, no long speeches, no performance, just sincerity. And I sat there thinking, this is what love is supposed to feel like. Not grand, not loud, but honest. Present. After dessert, one of my friends said, I'm glad you walked away. And I just nodded. Not out of pride, but peace. Because I didn't storm out of that first dinner to teach her a lesson. I left to remind myself I still had a choice. And that quiet act, that moment of picking up my coat and stepping outside, wasn't weakness. It was power. The kind of power that comes from knowing your value, even when others refuse to see it. The kind of power that doesn't need applause or validation or a toast. Just a simple truth: I deserve better. I never got that apology. Not even weeks later, when the silence between us had turned into something permanent. No sudden realization. No, I messed up. No happy birthday either. She didn't reach out again. Not really. A couple of her friends tried, said she was devastated, that I had overreacted, that she only wanted to celebrate in her own way. But when someone throws a party in your name and forgets you're even there, it's not a celebration. It's a show. And I'm done being someone else's prop. So, no, I didn't go back. I didn't unblock her. I didn't respond to the long-winded messages filled with half-justifications and twisted guilt. I just moved on. That's the part they never expect, the quiet exit, the refusal to beg, explain, or defend your right to basic respect. The part where you stop trying to fix someone's inability to care. Some people only value you when you're gone. Some people need you to be broken to feel whole. And some people will throw you a birthday dinner just to make it about themselves. But here's the thing. You can leave. You can stand up, pay your portion, and walk out. No matter how long you've stayed. You can reclaim your name off the invitation list you never approved. You can choose silence over spectacle, distance over drama. That's what I did. And the peace that followed, it was louder than any toast she never made. So if you're listening to this, and you've ever sat quietly in a room full of people who somehow made your moment about themselves, let me tell you something. You are not crazy. You are not dramatic. You are not asking for too much. You're asking to be seen, to be celebrated, to belong. And if someone can't do that on the one day meant for you, they don't deserve the other 364 either. I didn't lose her. She lost someone who would have made every dinner, every day actually, about us. And me, I'm just someone who finally realized I don't need a table full of people to feel whole. I just need one seat, on my own. Now, it's your turn. Have you ever had someone hijack your special day? Have you ever walked away from a celebration that wasn't truly for you? Drop your stories in the comments. I promise, this space is about you. And remember, sometimes the coldest revenge is simply not going back.